Hi, this is Cheryl back with you from Farmhouse, Frugally, with the last of the harvest. Oh, I hate to see fall go. It is my favorite time of year. I am a spinner and I have a bunch of different colored rovings and wool and alpaca and angora, and I would like to use some of that today to make the most beautiful fall harvest type arrangement. Now, I am starting by taking what's called a roving, which is once the wool is taken from the animal and cleaned and carded, it looks nice and combed out. Then all I am doing is just taking a little bit and I am rolling it in a ball in my hand. Now, this is the same way that you make those wool dryer balls, but I am doing this on a much smaller scale. So once you have it the size that you want it, then what you want to do is you want to put it in a piece of pantyhose. So I had one of these little knee-high pantyhose, and all I do is just take that ball, open up the pantyhose and put it in, and then I tie a knot, and then I go to the next one, tie a knot, go to the next one, tie a knot. So I'll do it one more time so you can see what I'm doing. Now you can get a roving on Etsy or eBay, just called wool rovings, and you just kind of take a length of it, start small, just wind it, pull it a little bit tight, go to the, kind of move it around and around so it sort of stays rounded, go over the top and over the top, again, and then, to the size that you want. Now, I actually made mine a little bigger than I should have for this project, so some of them in the end I actually cut in half. If you're doing a wool ball, same process, you want to make it about the size of a baseball. One of the very first videos I ever posted is how to do the wool balls, and that was years ago. I'll try to remember to post it at the end of this. Okay, then you want to go ahead and round that out in your hand, put that in the pantyhose, tie a knot, go on, do all of them. Once you're done, then you're going to fill a bowl with some soapy water. You can literally throw this in the wash machine and the dryer and the wash machine and the dryer several times, and that actually works amazing, especially recommended for the wool ball. But for this little project, I just went ahead and squeezed. The soap seems to help it stay together. Once I squeezed that out, rinsed it out, put it in the dryer, I literally just washed it and dried it once for this project, but again, for the wool ball, you want to do that a few times. Then I just went ahead and cut them off from the pantyhose, and you can see they're somewhat felted. They're not going to come apart. That's really the whole idea here. For the wool ball, if you do that a number of times, it really felts it good. And then I went and collected some acorn bottoms, and I am literally just sticking these into the acorn bottoms, and you could glue these in if you want to. Mine stayed very well, and here they are finished. I am absolutely in love. I think this is one of my favorite projects this fall. My daughter loves these. I am definitely going to be making some more of these. So if this is something that you like, please make sure that you hit the thumbs up on this video so that YouTube will continue to share out and recommend this channel. Before that, I want to mention this video is part of a challenge, a harvest challenge hosted by these lovely ladies, Tammy at the Rusted Willow, Ellie at DIY from House to Home, and Marla from The Chic Show. So check their channels out as well as the playlist. And that takes me on to these leaves. I found these white leaves at the Dollar Tree recently, and I actually like them. I used them in a different video, and I had these left over, so I decided that I wanted to change them up a bit. They are neutral, which I like, but they are a little fake looking, and I'm not going to make them look like real leaves either, but I am going to make them look a little bit more fabric almost by painting them. So I just took out some white chalk paint, and I went ahead and gave them just 2 coats of chalk paint and then let that dry. Actually, I helped that dry a little bit with my heat gun just to move this project along, but certainly they'll dry in probably nothing flat. And then once those were completely dry, then I went and I took my antiquing wax with a stiff brush and went around the outside edges with straight up antiquing wax to give that an aged look. And then I took the cover of the antiquing wax and just added some warm water to that and mixed it up so I had real watery antiquing wax. And then I just sort of dropped it along the veins of the leaf and then let that dry. I just let that dry by itself overnight, and then that was all that I did. Now these would be beautiful on a garland, hanging off the fireplace, or to do some of those acorns that I showed you earlier in between these. But I am just laying them here in a couple different places on my hutch. I really love neutrals for fall. Now, I missed all of the footage for this. I thought I had my phone on. Literally took a couple of fruit pieces that I had and some of those tart pans and some moss, and I simply just put those together to add to my little tiered tray in my kitchen, just to look a little bit more of that harvest feeling with some of the other items that I already had on this tiered tray in my kitchen. So that is very, very simple. If you happen to have some of this fruit, I pulled off that pumpkin from a wreath, and not even sure where I got the other pieces. I think probably from the wreath that I had gotten at the dump some time back. So that is what I did with that simple thing. And now on to this project here. I was asked by a viewer some time ago to make some little pies, and so I have these tarts left over. When I had a primitive country shop, I used to sell a whole bunch of different potpourris and things, and I found these in my stash, and I thought that these would be adorable to make some little pies. So I pulled out a really decorative rolling pin or cookie cutting pin and some muffin tins and some little tart pans just to see which ones I might like to use for this project, and then some clay. Now I'm using an air dry clay that I got at Hobby Lobby. The entire big heavy box I think was on sale for like $10. So this is very hard to work with because it's not terribly soft, so you have to kind of work it in your hands quite a bit and roll it out and everything. So once I got that all rolled out, I just used the tart pan, press that in, cut it around with a knife, and then just set that right into the tart pan. And then I realized that I could literally just press that right against those wavy edges, and that would give me the look that I was going for here with this particular little pie. And certainly you could wait till this is dry and paint it or do whatever you want here. But I decided to take these little pieces of banana, little wax things, and just layer them right into this little pie plate. And this one is finished. And then move on to the second one. I just went ahead and cut some straight strips out of some of that leftover clay that I had, and then I took the wonky pieces, and then with those pieces I just sort of rolled them out. And this time I want more of a wavy, organic looking crust that you get when you make your own homemade pie crust. And I didn't bother with the bottom on this one, I just did the edges. And then I took a bamboo straw and I just sort of used that to wave. This clay is a little bit stiff, so it's hard to do in your hands. I use that to just kind of give it a little bit of wave here and there. And then I wet my hands and I went around the outside edges, sort of smoothing out the tops of those waves to make it look more like pie crust. Then I went ahead and filled it with these little wax peach pieces and just sort of went around and around like I would with a regular pie. And then I took the pieces of cut strips and made a lattice top pie crust, and then formed that onto the top of the pie crust and pressed the edges in. And then I went ahead and sprinkled this with some cinnamon, and that is all I did. Now, if I do this again, I will use a lighter colored clay. And then for the little blueberries and the little cherries, I took out a different size tart pan and I just went ahead and filled them without any kind of crust. And then I took my little bits of clay and I pressed one right into one of those squares on that little rolling pin and then just kind of rolled over it until I got just some of that little shape. Then I used a knife to cut that out and add that to the tart to make it look like just a little cookie or something that's coming out of that one. And then for the next one, I had one of those heart-shaped little cookie cutters, so I just used that and did the same thing on the blueberry one. And then I had my husband run down and get me the spray foam insulation, and this stuff is very sticky. You don't want to touch that with your hands. It's hard to get off. And I just gently added some. It didn't puff up as much as I would have liked. It dries a little yellow, so I think it's better to use the spackling. We didn't have any of that handy, but I just went ahead on both of those and added some of that to look like whipped cream. And then on the blueberry one, I just stuck the little heart-shaped cookie in it. You'll have to let me know what you think about these sweet little desserts for this display. I think that it's going to be a lot of fun to have these displayed during the Thanksgiving time frame. And really enjoying making these little harvest items. I know it's time to move on to Christmas, and my next video will be about angels. So I am looking forward to that, but I just really didn't want to let the fall go. I know some people are really ready to move on to Christmas. Well, I'm trying to get into that mode. And I had gone apple picking recently, so I thought about caramel apples. Lost the footage here, but I literally stuck a skewer in these fake apples, dipped them in some paint that I had, and put them on waxed paper. And I did let this dry for 24 hours so that the little puddle at the bottom would be good and dry so that I would be able to move on. And then I cut out some little cardboard circles, and I used to have a shop, so I had a bunch of these little bags left over. And I just laid the cardboard circle at the bottom of a bag, and then I gently added one of the apples with the wax paper just cut out around it right into the bag. And then I tied this with a piece of jute twine that I had, and then I just added a little hang tag, and I made these just out of a simple piece of cardstock and added a little check gingham ribbon to go with this, and I just did that for all three of them, and that is all that I did with this. I think it would have been adorable if I had something that looked like nuts or something that I could have put along the bottom. I just couldn't think of anything here in my home that might have resembled that, but I think that would be a great idea if you want to reproduce this craft. So I would love to know which of these fall harvest items were your favorite today. And if you would like to try any of these crafts, drop me a line and let me know if you're planning to make any, maybe for next year or maybe for Thanksgiving if you want to do a little display in your home. So I am so thankful for your stopping by. Don't forget to check out the other creators in this playlist and enjoy the last of the harvest for what they have created, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.